Good evening, everyone. Welcome to ThetaTalks. We're a little bit early this evening, starting off at 7:30. Thank you for joining us, and I know some of you are just trickling in right now. Our topic today for ThetaTalks is quite an interesting one. Money grows on trees, or does it? Okay, this is a very interesting phrase that we've all heard before, and I want to explore some other phrases that we may have heard growing up as children. These are money in abundance beliefs and blocks potentially. So tonight we are going to explore a little bit about how theta healing can come into play and kind of explore these belief systems. Some of them may be beneficial, some may not. Some of them you might think is good for you, and you may realize as we unpack it that it has been affecting your life. So this is quite an exciting topic that I want to explore, because abundance has kind of been something that I have worked on quite a bit on my theta healing journey, and clearing a lot of beliefs, clearing a lot of ancestral programmings that I've inherited as well. It's allowed me to shift that mindset from mindset of scarcity and lack to knowingness and a feeling of abundance. So I want to share with you, and I'm sure Sanaiyah has some exciting stories that she will share on how her journey into abundance and money explored, or how she explored this journey. So if you guys like, while we wait a little bit, a couple minutes for her, would you like to type into the chat box, what are some of your beliefs that you have picked up as children? Things that you've heard your parents say over and over again, that has affected you, or that has kind of stuck with you. Sometimes you use that, or you hear their voices in your head when you're spending money, or when you are working really hard. One of the phrases that I heard growing up also is, you have to earn every penny. You got to work hard for it. Work hard for money. That is something that was repeated. Or that idea of, when you go to college and you get a great job and you're going to earn the money, and that's when it's all going to come together, right? That's when the abundance will fall into your lap. And then, I've had clients who've had situations where just when they're finishing college, pandemic hit. So they had to kind of unpack those stories, or unpack those belief systems that was imposed or told to them, so that they're not kind of stuck in that story. Because in pandemic, nobody had jobs. It was very difficult and things were very restricted. So if the theory is you get a good job, you will get abundance, and that didn't happen, so what do we do next, right? So that's where a lot of people get stuck. So Chris says, work hard to get rich and have a better future, right? So that's in line with that, right? And if you go to college, it would tie in even more so. So Divya says, hi Maisha, with respect to money, it would be, you have to work hard to be successful, or nothing in life comes easy. Nice ones. Okay, so this seems like something that is a pattern or repeated, whether it's in any culture. Nothing in life comes easy. Or another one tied to that is easy come, easy go. Have any of you heard that? Hi.
Hello.
Okay.
How's it
I
going?
was just chatting away with our audience
Okay.
about some beliefs that they may have heard growing up.
About
So
money.
Ooh.
Yes. So some have mentioned about needing to work hard for
Hmm.
money,
Hmm.
So I thought it would be interesting if, because I have a bunch of beliefs right here that I have researched, and we can kind of unpack some of them and
Okay.
see, is it a good belief? Is it a bad belief? How could it be impacting people in their lives in this day and age? What do you think
Okay.
of that?
So that's a really good question. So what did you get so far?
So the one that we started with is money grows on trees,
Oh, my
right?
favorite one.
Yeah. So that's something that in every culture, I think they have this belief that money doesn't grow on trees,
Yes.
right? So what is the implication of that statement to you?
Well, I think that, the problem with money beliefs for most people is the scarcity
Mm,
mindset, right? The scarcity, actually, scarcity mindset, which is the sense that there's never enough,
right.
right? Or that, you know, everyone's competing for limited
Mm,
resources. That's another scarcity mindset, right? Or you've got the belief that other people can have it, but I can't for some reason.
mm,
Maybe because
mm,
I don't deserve it or I'm not good enough, something of that sort. So definitely that's something that I see a lot with my
mm-hmm,
clients is wealth, money, abundance has a lot to do with whether they feel they deserve it or they're worthy of having it. And I also think that we have been programmed that we have to work hard for it, or there
mm.
isn't enough for everybody, or you have to do certain things like get good grades or get a good job to actually
And
have.
that's the deservingness tied into it, right? It's not like money is easy, right? Or it just flows to you, right? It's more about you need to prove that you're deserving.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's in terms of money doesn't grow on trees, it's like it's not everywhere, right? It's limited, it's very scarce, right? Another one that I have is easy come, easy go, right? So that also ties in with what we're talking about, limited, right? Once you have it, and then it's got to go somewhere else, right? You can't keep it for long.
Okay. So do you see easy come, easy go as a good, like a positive belief or a negative belief?
I think it's a negative belief because then fear comes in, right? The moment that I have money, then it's going to go away, right? So that's when I'm going to try to hang on to it. And then the scarcity mindset creeps in. What
Yeah,
do you think?
I've actually seen some really wild beliefs when it comes to money and abundance. For example, I've seen things like if I make money, I have to give it to my family. Like
Mm,
they'll need it. And this is
obligation.
obligation.
Yeah.
And this is actually a very common Filipino belief
Mm,
with a lot of my clients here in the Philippines is like because there is such a culture of helping family members, right? Sometimes that can go the other way is when you enable family members not to be responsible for themselves because you're
mm,
constantly taking care of them and giving to them, right? And there are many good things about it, but there are also some negatives. But the thing that I've seen a lot is, especially for my younger clients, that if they make money, they have to give it to someone
mm,
anyways. Somebody in
mm,
the family is going to be sick. Somebody is going to need it for, college tuition. So it's like when you make money, but you actually don't really get anything out
mm.
of working harder and doing more. All you do is you end up with pretty much, you know, nothing more because you're giving it all away. So sometimes it's like, what's the point of making more money when I have to give it all away? So that's another really tricky belief system that comes in. Another one.
I had a driver.
Hmm.
And this was at that time when, we had those big numbers with the lottery over here where it just kept going up and up and up and up. And we're like, and then I'm like, okay, let's get into the bandwagon. Right. So I asked all my help at home. I said, write me your numbers. I'll go buy you lottery tickets. And then I went with my driver and I drove him. I mean, he drove me, but he drove me to the grocery to purchase these lottery tickets. Then I said, why don't you give me your numbers? And you can also, I'll buy you one as well. And he's like, no, ma'am, I don't want to win the lottery. I said, huh? Why don't you want to win the lottery? He said, if I win the lottery, then I will have a lot of new friends, right? So a lot of people would come in and start borrowing money from him and wanting stuff from him. So, it doesn't even have to be family related, right? It could be just random people saying, oh, now you have money, please give me some, or please lend me some,
Oh my
you
God,
know?
I totally relate to this because I used to be a buyer for Saks Fifth Avenue, right? And this was in New York City. And we used to get this very generous friends and family discount, which would happen just, a few times in the year. So it was a really extra discount. And we were able to share it with friends and
Hmm.
family. Um, so that was something I would definitely share with other people. But there were other times in the year where people would come up to me from everywhere asking me if they could use my discount to buy something they needed.
Because you have a
And
permanent discount
I had
because
a
you're
permanent
working there. Yeah,
discount.
yeah.
So friends and family was great because I could share that with them. But
Yeah.
the rest of the year was like I had a permanent
Mm.
discount, right? So first of all, I had more friends than I could count on my fingers.
I
I know,
wouldn't
I
be
mean, I had a good
surprised.
personality, so I'm sure they wanted to be friends with me, but having this great discount at Saks Fifth Avenue was a
A
perk,
bonus,
a
yeah.
bonus, and maybe in some cases also like I was a great person to know,
Mm,
right? For
mm,
for people. And I didn't mind sharing at all, but sometimes it was like too
mm.
much. Like let's say someone I didn't really hang out with or I'd never spoken on the phone
Random, yeah.
to,
Yeah.
and then they want to like they needed me to help them buy something,
Mm,
right? Or like I would have to go into the store with them, and then while they were shopping for what they needed, and then I
mm.
have to be there to pay for it. So it's like, sometimes it really did feel a little too much, and I did feel like having this discount made it hard sometimes to know if people just wanted the discount or they
Yeah.
really wanted to be friends. And I think that's true of famous people,
Mm,
who aren't sure if people like them for who they are or people like them for their connections, or
mm.
influential people. So I think that's just one of the things that happens with it. But you do create these belief systems
Yeah.
about having abundance or having something, and other people may not always, um, understanding what you might
Yeah.
be going through or
like
what you
like
might
with
be
my
feeling.
driver, he's always going to stay where he is because that's the way he thinks. The more I have, the more money, more problems,
Yeah.
right?
But
That's
I'll tell you something though. Like I'm sharing the story about something that
mm,
I went through 25 years ago,
mm,
right? But I know now, and through all the belief work I've done, because I didn't have theta healing back then, right? I've learned now, and I know you have too, that the more you have, the more you can actually help people
yeah.
and share, and the more you can do with the money for other people.
Mm.
So I went from this mindset of lack to understanding how important it is to have abundance. And the more you have, the more you give, the more you share. And that's actually so much
A-
more satisfying
and it's a flow,
than,
right?
yeah, it's
Yeah.
flow. And the more you make, the more you share, the more you share, the more you make. And it's just this whole cycle of just flow and abundance and wealth. So definitely the scarcity mindset keeps you stuck
Mm.
thinking that you don't want to have more, or if you have more, you'll get exploited or taken advantage of. I remember someone told me that, you know, if you have more money, like it's so stressful about what to do with that money, and you don't know where to keep it. And then you're more likely to make bad investment
Mm.
decisions because you
Mm.
have all this money, you don't know what to do with it. So let me just, So I've heard things like that where people's mindsets are so against having
Versus
any form.
if you have that money, you can hire a really great financial advisor that can give you great advice, right? Now you can afford to be able to do that. And it doesn't mean that you are not going to, you can educate yourself as well on what to do with that money. But we don't go that far, right? Because of our belief systems, we're kind of stuck in that story. What do you think of this one? Um, that you have to always have something for a rainy day. That's an interesting one.
Well, I mean, in one way, it prompts you to always have extra. But on the other hand, it's like you need it for a rainy day, like when things go bad, right?
Or
So that's,
anticipating,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. So that could be tricky too. That could be a really
Mm-hmm.
tricky one. I think that one thing we need to understand that money, wealth, abundance, it's a
Mm,
consciousness, right? And either you have a poverty or lack consciousness, or you have one that is abundant or plenty or wealth. And, you know, there's a theta healing class called Wealth Consciousness, which I know you're going to talk a little bit about, Maisha, today, that really helps people work on those wealth belief systems.
mm.
And I remember when I took the class the first time, I've taken this class like 5 times. I think every time the teacher, his name is Mark Anthony. No, not the singer, but Mark is equally
Charismatic.
yeah, charismatic. So Mark, taught this class the first time in Manila for our center, Theta Healing Wealth Consciousness class. And I remember sitting in the class and we were testing beliefs from like ancient cultures about, like I have to trade money for blah, 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 or
Cowrie
do you remember some of the ones?
shells or
Cowrie shells, or
stones,
like,
yeah.
yeah,
A
or
cow or like even livestock,
yeah,
like the
we had all these weird associations with money from our ancestors and from our
mm,
history level, like from our different genetic experiences and so on, that it was very interesting to find how much I was carrying that I wasn't even aware
mm,
of, that was getting in, it was getting in the way of me manifesting what I wanted,
yeah.
right? And then we've taken the class, and every year I've seen that as I clear more of my money blocks, more money, abundance, opportunities, because abundance is not just money,
Yeah.
right? Wealth is not just money, it's how you feel. Like
Mm,
you can have very little money and feel wealthy, and you can have so much money and it's never
mm.
enough. You never feel wealthy. So it's really more of a consciousness, and it's about having an abundance, a flow, opportunities, and so on. So it really is about a consciousness, and it's really about releasing these mindset blocks and so on. So um, that was my experience with the wealth consciousness class. Do you want to share yours, Maisha? You've done it a number of times as well.
And the reason I do it again and again and again is because every time I do the class, cha-ching, cha-ching,
Yeah,
cha-ching, my finances go up. My husband has done this class, and he's opened up opportunities for himself like no other. So it's a really great class, and I mean, it's great you bring that up, that idea that we may hear these things from our parents and our ancestors, and we know that these are our blocks, but sometimes we don't know or realize, right? And how do we know, and how we know that's an issue is that we're not in the place that we want to be, right? We're not in that place where we have what I think a lot of us are looking for is financial freedom, right? The ability to be able to spend and do what we want and what we desire without thinking twice, thinking, can I afford it? Right? Or will this, what would I have to give up for this?
yeah,
Right? So, so that class really identifies a lot of programmings that you didn't even realize, like you mentioned that you had, right? And once you understand that and see that and clear it, it's so quick for things to flow in your life,
absolutely.
and like you said, abundance is not only money, right? Abundance it's that consciousness where once you clear your abundance blocks, and it could start with money, then you are already in an abundance mindset. So, in terms of relationships, in terms of love, in terms of opportunities, in terms of your career, right? In terms of all of these things, it starts flowing into your life.
Yeah.
It doesn't just stop with the
Yeah.
money.
I agree. And another really important point that I can see in the chat, you might have already talked about this, is like people also think they have to work hard for
Mm,
money and abundance and success. And these are also abundance blocks, right? These are
yeah.
mindset beliefs that are all getting in your way of actually having things come more easily and more effortlessly, whether that's love or opportunities or money or clients, whatever it is,
Yeah.
right? So absolutely. Now, I actually have to run a little early today, Maisha, because I have another live stream at 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. and just realized I have a bit of a snafu with my live. So I was hoping you could pick the virtue cards
Sure.
early today and then and probably tell people a little bit more about the upcoming wealth consciousness info session, which is a great I would say it's a great opportunity for people to learn more about these abundance, wealth, consciousness types of blocks in their lives.
Okay, so our virtue card for today is nobility. Mm.
Ooh, ooh. It's weird because right when you say nobility, the thing that comes up for me is
Is
like,
that the rich and noble?
yes, like only the noble or the rich are
Mm.
allowed to have wealth and money. And what were the mindsets that they had? I think there was a sense of entitlement, like they deserved it. They like it was like they took it for granted that they'll have it. Whereas I think that in our generation, we have been programmed with so many, I would say, abundance blocks by our previous generations, like money is hard, there's not enough, all of that, that we have, almost shot ourselves in the foot. And now we have all these blocks we've created and taken on. And now we've made it so much more difficult for ourselves. Having said that, I don't think Vienna was talking about nobility in
Like
terms
this,
of the
I'm like
noble
reading.
people.
I'm
Yeah,
like,
I know she's talking about more about the virtue.
yeah.
So tell us about the virtue, but I am sharing what came to mind right away with
But
nobility.
I mean, that's exactly what I thought as well. And I wanted to add that they lived that lifestyle, right? They lived in that essence and that energy where there's always plenty and it's always abundant. And they kind of lived, they dressed that way, they lived in that space. And I think that's one of the most important things in manifesting and creating that abundance consciousness is to always feel it regardless of what is around you.
Yeah.
Okay, so nobility is being honest, courageous, and kind, acting always in a state of high moral values. The virtue of nobility is a bringer of truth that puts the safety of others first. Nobility is a mental state of being. It is truly a great honor to be noble. This virtue has nothing to do with royalty, family, or title. The virtue of nobility is earned. So if nobility is in your cards, you have been living your life with nobility. You're blessed to be surrounded by those that are truly recognize these incredible gifts that give you the ability to receive clear answers from the divine.
So I have something actually that came up while you were sharing this, Maisha. I had a life path reading today by
Oh,
with an astrologer, and we were talking about integrity. We were talking about career success, future trajectory, things like that. And she kept saying something to me. There are a lot of healers and people out there who don't have integrity, but
mm,
you have integrity in what you're doing.
mm,
So for you, flow will always come.
mm,
You will always move forward. You will always flow. You will always like never have to worry about safety and security in any way. Okay. And she kept saying the integrity is important. The integrity is what matters. And she even mentioned integrity in um, the way I do my work and the way I serve people. And it's kind of connecting for me that nobility is integrity. And where that connects to money is that when you earn money and spend money in integrity, right? Then you will always have plenty.
Mm,
So I find that integrity and money are very closely
mm,
linked. And as long as you, like, you don't have to work hard, but you have to work with commitment, right?
mm.
You have to have positive intentions. You have to have, integrity in how you're doing your work and how you are serving people or working with other people, whether it's business deals or whatever it is, like being ethical and having integrity. And I've noticed that the people who have very strong integrity, ethics, moral values, and she was mentioning this astrologer with me, they always succeed. And to
Mm.
me, that's what nobility is as a virtue, is having these traits and qualities when you are making money, when you are doing your work, when you're earning your living, when you're sharing with other people. It's all about that. And that kind of brings a very positive energy. All right.
Beautiful.
On that note, I am going to say goodbye now. But Maisha, if you can share with people about the upcoming wealth consciousness, and then of course, if anybody wants to learn a little bit more or talk more about their own abundance blocks, then they can get on a call with you. All right. So bye everyone. Thank you for listening. And I'm so sorry I have to run off a little early, but I do have another live in like 5 minutes. So I'll talk to you guys soon.
See you. Okay, so, just tying everything together, we have a really great speaker. He is a ThetaHealing instructor, and he is one of our really good friends, Mark Anthony, who is doing an intro talk. It's on wealth consciousness, which is like Sanaiyah mentioned, one of the classes that we're running. But if you guys want to know more about money in abundance, he'll be open to answering any questions that you may have on even the most basic level. And everything he says is gold. So please make sure you bring your notepad and your paper and your pen, and you will just love everything that he says. So this is tomorrow, 8 to 9 p.m. It's the Wealth Consciousness intro talk, and it's open to everybody. So we'd love to see you there in line with what we're exploring, and you'll have more in-depth discussions as well. I am also very happy to explore some of your abundance blocks or some of the beliefs that you may be having on abundance through the emotional breakthrough sessions that we provide with at bit.ly /E hyphen B hyphen S. And I'd love to connect with you on that note as well. So, if any of you would like to share any other experiences or have any questions on abundance, I would love to chat a little bit more about it. Okay, so I'm standing by for those questions if you have any. But meanwhile, a lot of as I mentioned, I've worked a lot with manifesting and abundance and clearing belief blocks. And it is really just about identifying what is really blocking you at the root. And once you pull that out, it's like Jenga, everything falls into place because you're no longer stuck in that story or in that belief system that money will just flow from all areas. We have another class called Manifesting Abundance as well. A lot of our dating classes have a lot of clearing within the abundance section because the less you have issues on abundance and money, the more you are able to, Sanaya said, help other people, but also to continue your journey into self-improvement, right? The more you're able to have opportunities to learn more, to do more classes, to be curious, and to be able to explore more about yourself and your ancestors as well. So money is something that is a number one priority to clear any of those blocks so that it flows, and that's one less thing to worry about, and hence you can focus on what really matters, which is your purpose in life. So thank you for joining me again. I shall see you guys next week with our topic, which we will keep it a surprise for a little while and announce soon. So thank you, everyone. Have a lovely evening.